Do you know how much these shoes cost? Arthur Whitmore scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. This is why people like you shouldn't be working in places like this. You're clumsy, you're careless, and people like you could never afford things like this. Amira, the poised black waitress standing before him, remained composed. What Arthur didn't realize as he insulted and humiliated her was that she wasn't just a waitress. She was the owner of this very restaurant, and she held the power to save his crumbling business. But he was about to find out the hard way. The Monarch's Table was an upscale restaurant that had become the talk of the town. Known for its elegant ambience, impeccable service, and a menu curated by world-class chefs, it was more than just a dining establishment. It was an experience. Every detail, from the crystal chandeliers to the imported linens, exuded luxury. It was the kind of place where people saved for special occasions or boasted about dining there to their friends. The restaurant was alive with energy, tables filled with lively conversations, glasses clinking, and the mouth-watering aroma of gourmet dishes wafting through the air. Yet beneath the polished surface, the Monarch's Table had been facing a quiet but growing issue. Complaints from staff about rude and discriminatory behavior from certain customers had surfaced. Though the restaurant's reputation remained strong, these complaints had reached the ears of Amira James, the restaurant's owner. Amira was known for her hands-on leadership and unwavering commitment to excellence. Instead of relying solely on reports from her managers, she decided to see for herself what was truly happening. Dressing in the uniform of a waitress, she stepped into her own restaurant, ready to observe firsthand. It was the busiest hour of the evening, and the staff moved with precision, catering to every customer's needs. Among them was Amira, blending in seamlessly with the team, balancing a tray with grace, and treating every guest with warmth and professionalism. No one, apart from a few trusted staff members and loyal patrons like the Turners, knew that she was the owner. Tonight, she wasn't playing the role of the boss. She was working undercover to understand how her staff was treated by customers and to see if the whispers of mistreatment had merit. She wanted to ensure her team felt safe and valued in her establishment. As Amira observed the restaurant, she took in the interactions between the staff and customers. Most patrons were polite and appreciative. Then, the doors swung open, and Arthur Whitmore entered. His presence immediately drew attention, not because of charm, but because of his commanding, almost arrogant demeanor. His tailored suit and expensive watch reflected his wealth, and he carried himself with an air of entitlement that was impossible to ignore. Behind him trailed his assistant, a young man carrying a sleek leather briefcase and looking as though he wanted to disappear into the floor. Arthur glanced around the restaurant, his nose wrinkling slightly, as if the very air didn't meet his standards. The hostess, ever cheerful, greeted him with a warm smile. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to the Monarch's Table," she said. Arthur barely looked at her. "Just get me a table," he muttered, waving his hand dismissively. "And make it quick. I don't have all night." The hostess, though visibly flustered, remained professional and quickly led him to a table in the center of the dining area. Arthur sank into his chair, scanning the restaurant with thinly veiled disdain. "This is it," he muttered under his breath, loud enough for his assistant to hear. "This is the place everyone's been raving about." Hardly impressive. From her spot near the counter, Amira observed the exchange, adjusting her tray before approaching his table with a welcoming smile. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to our restaurant," she said warmly. Arthur sighed loudly, his irritation evident. "Do you always take this long to serve your customers?" he asked, his tone laced with annoyance. "Apologies for the wait, sir," Amira replied steadily. "Would you like any recommendations from our menu today? Or can I start you off with a drink?" Arthur waved her off. "Just give me a steak, medium rare. And make it quick." Nearby, Evelyn Turner, a longtime patron, leaned toward her husband, Mark. "I feel for Amira," she whispered. "That one looks like he's going to be a handful." Mark chuckled softly. "She'll handle it. She always does." As the evening progressed, Arthur's complaints grew louder and more frequent. He criticized everything, from the lighting to the arrangement of the silverware. At one point, he snapped his fingers at Amira, motioning for her to come over. "This steak," he said, cutting into it with his fork, "is overcooked. Do you people even know how to run a kitchen?" Amira remained calm. "I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Would you like me to have it replaced?" "No," he sighed dramatically. "I've already lost my appetite for it. Just bring me the menu again. I'll place another order." The tension in the room was growing. Regular diners exchanged uneasy glances. Yet Amira remained poised, knowing the moment of truth was drawing near. Arthur tapped his fingers impatiently on the table, his irritation escalating. When Amira returned with his new order, she carefully set the plate down. In that moment, her foot accidentally brushed against his, causing a mild scuff on his polished designer shoe, which had been sticking out under the table, unnoticed. Arthur reacted as though it were a personal affront. "What in the world?" he bellowed, his voice cutting through the quiet murmur of the restaurant. His chair screeched as he pushed back, glaring at Amira. "Are you blind or just incompetent?" Amira straightened. "I'm so sorry, sir. It was an accident." "An accident?" Arthur scoffed. "People like you shouldn't be working in places like this. You're clumsy, you're careless, and you're clearly not fit for this job." The diners turned toward the commotion, their expressions a mix of shock and discomfort. Amira stood still, maintaining her composure despite the blatant humiliation. Arthur leaned back, smirking. I don't think a simple apology can fix this. That scuff mark you made? You should clean it properly." Amira's expression hardened. "I'm happy to send someone over to clean your shoes, sir. But I won't be doing that myself." Arthur's smirk widened. "Not with your hands," he said coldly. "With your uniform. Show some respect for the people who actually work hard to afford to dine here." A gasp rippled through the room. Nia, one of the younger waitresses, clutched her tray, her voice trembling. "He can't be serious." Evelyn Turner clutched her husband's hand tightly, her face pale with outrage. "This has gone too far." Amira exhaled slowly. Then, with a composed expression, she turned back to Arthur. "Mr. Whitmore," she said steadily, "I hear you're requesting to meet the owner. You're speaking to her." Arthur's smug expression vanished in an instant.